Hello people and welcome to another Carcassonne analysis video. This will be the second part of the four-part series where I will analyze all four of my games in the Mind Sports Olympiad Grand Prix, 2 games from the semi-finals and 2 games from the grand finals. The game in question today is the second semi-final game I had against Sergio Antolinez of Colombia with the screen name dremkad. Sergio doesn't get a very good starting tile. He is forced to take a 3-point city with lots of connection platforms for myself, but he is able to take the vacant city cap and the tile comes with a shield, so all is good there. We start a road of our own and we specifically point the road downwards, because often when you start a city with a quad city tile at the beginning of the game, that city is very likely to either get blocked or at least the other player is very likely to attack it at some point. And we do not want to continue our road upwards, because then we would have to either continue our opponent's castle or continue a feature that is eventually shared. Red now has 2 candidate moves in my head. They can either go here and meeple the city going downwards, or they can go here and meeple the city going left, at the same time directing my road to their other city, so that if that other city gets blocked, then at least it's going to share 1 square with my road, and it will possibly be able to win a mini battle. What they do instead is rather surprising. They add a city cap to their castle, trying to complete it as soon as possible, and they meeple the road to join my 2-point road. Now this is a bit weak in my opinion, because again my road is only worth 2 points, so it's not really worth attacking. And even though they have now added the city cap to their castle and they have removed a connection platform from here, they just created another one from here. And if I have any city tile with field in my hand, I will go here and I will attack this castle. And if that happens, then my opponent has basically used a valuable city cap to meeple a 1-point road and do nothing else. And that is, in 99% of the scenarios, a waste of a city cap. Because let's say you go here and you meeple the city, which I think would have been the strongest move. You will then have a good use for extender tiles, city caps, triangles, and triple cities. Whereas now, you only really have good use for a triangle and for a triple city. And even a triple city is honestly not that good, because it extends your castle and it's going to prolong the completion. So I think red's move here is a bit weak. We don't have many options with our tile. We obviously don't want to connect our roads, because red's road is 1 point, whereas our road is 2 points. We don't want to add this tile to red's road, because that would only give red points. We don't want to add this tile to red's castle, because it doesn't really benefit us in any way. So the only place to start a castle for ourselves is to continue our road and meeple the city. Red has a variety of options here. They can go over here, meeple the 1-point city, and have a direct threat of finishing a 12-point castle with any city cap. They can go over here, meeple the 1-point city, and have again a direct threat of finishing a 12-point city with any city cap with a field. And if I do try to attack from here, then red will always have two dividers available for them to separate the two castles, get 12 points, maybe drop a farmer, and leave me crying on the beach. Or a third option is to go here, meeple the 1-point city going left, indirectly continuing this city over here, then have a good use for triple cities over here, triangles over here, and city caps plus extenders over here. They decide to go with a direct threat immediately. We of course need to stop that, and we will attack this castle. And we attack from the right side, because then we have two platforms instead of one to harass this castle over here. Red unifies the roads. An alternative option would have been to go over here, direct the curve like this, and then hope for a divider, again to separate Red's castle from my castle, then drop a farmer and have a field with lots of growth potential. We now have a lot of options with this tube divider. We could go over here, pre-complete a 6-point castle and start a new castle in a safe place. We could go over here, indirectly continuing our city at the bottom and meepling this 1-point city to equalize Red's 1-point city on the right, and to ensure that Red doesn't get any ideas of looping this meeple all the way over and creating a huge castle or a huge ruin. A third option that we decided to do was to add the tube divider here. The main reason is to prevent our opponent from grabbing a divider and going over here, grabbing a 12-point city, meepling the field, like I said earlier. But we also get another city open, and having multiple cities open at the beginning of the game is always important, so that you can use as many city tiles productively as you possibly can. Red doesn't have too much to do with a straight line, so they decide to try to connect to the 5-point shared road. Ideally, we would want any city tile with a road over here to prevent Red's ideas of completing the connection. That's why we add the vanilla cap over here. Now we have two castles ready to be completed with any city cap. And we have clear uses for all kinds of city caps. We can use city caps with a field on the right side over here, and we can use city caps with a road to the right side over here. Unfortunately, we are not able to prevent Red from connecting to the shared road. And with a crossroad, we now have nowhere to take quick points from, so our only move is to attack the road again. We specifically attack from the left side, because there are more curves in the game than there are straight roads, and we also have a castle here, and completing this castle would put our connection at risk if we attacked from the right side, because then it would be possible for our opponent to limit this connection opportunity to a crossroad. Red now decides that they indeed want to try overrunning this whole castle or a ruin, whichever it will be built as. However, although this plan carries a clear threat, it doesn't require immediate action, because at least 3 tiles have to be placed before the castle is finished, and with a city cap that we now have, it is way too good of a tile to start using for blocking, which is why we are going to just start new castles and complete our previous castle. Red grabs the first monastery of the game and gets a juicy spot for it. We connect to the road. With a second monastery, Red now decides that he wants to meeple it as well. But he is playing with fire here. Because with 52 tiles remaining, and with no meeples in hand, Red will be losing out on value on so many tiles. Red cannot score quick points from crossroads, or from any road ends for that matter. Red cannot start new castles with city caps. And Red's only possibility of getting meeples back quickly is to grab a divider here, which would mean cancelling out on the plans of creating either a huge ruin or a huge completed city all for himself, or to finish a shared road for a 0-point move. But the issue here is that this square can be severely restricted with any tile. So let's say a road comes here. Red would then have exactly 5 tiles to get a meeple back instantly, either with a field crossroad or with a divider. I think with this map texture, putting a road here would put Red on a horrific situation. And I think for those reasons, meepling this monastery is a massive mistake. Far better move, in my opinion, is to just add 1 point to your monastery and keep a meeple in your hand. With the triple city that we now have, we have a couple of choices. We can either go here and direct the city to any direction, then hope to get another city tile and restrict this square to a quad city, so that we will be then able to block both this and this meeple into this ruin. Alternatively, we can just grab 1 point from here. 1 point because this also surrounds Red's monastery. But because this surrounds Red's monastery and makes it easier for Red to get meeples back, I opted for the third option, which I think might have been a mistake. We take 2 points over here. The reason why I think this might be a mistake is because this severely restricts the square that we can use to severely restrict the shared road. And preventing the completion of the shared road, I think, would have been vital in this situation, because it would have slowed down Red's progress on the map by a large margin. As long as Red doesn't have meeples in hand, he will be forced to use quick point tiles, primarily city caps and crossroads, suboptimally. And the more he does that, the more we will have chances to grab quick points wherever he lays down city caps or road ends. Which is why, instead of grabbing 2 points over here, I think I should have done either of the 2 other options and to keep this blocking square open. Red adds 1 point to their monastery and restricts our 1 point city a bit. But I think a better spot would have been over here, directing the city cap downwards, just to be able to surround both of his monasteries and then to have a chance to get this monastery meeple back quicker. With a not so lucrative tile being the regular curve, we can now start blocking this square over here to a quad city and to try and trap both of these two red meeples with the cost of our one meeple. As red, I think you only have one spot to place the regular curve to, and it's over here. Maybe you have to think about the orientation a bit. You could go over here, then maybe grab a crossroads, place over here, and then you would have pre-built yourself a 4-point road if you grab a triple city with a road and connect over here. But instead, if you go over here, you will then have 3 triple city tiles instead of 2 to place in this square and eventually complete the large city. Instead, what Sergio does is something that I think you should never even consider in this situation. And that is adding 2 points to your monasteries. A horrible decision, in my opinion. Although you are surrounding 2 of your monasteries at the same time, trying to make sure that you get those monasteries completed in a safe manner, whilst that is an honorable cause, you still risk 2 of your meeples getting stuck immediately on your opponent's next turn. In this scenario, I don't think placing a curve next to your monasteries should ever be an option. Ever. There are still 5 triple cities that go here. Saving this connection should be your utmost importance. But as Sergio decided that it is not the utmost importance, his meeples get blocked. Now, although there is a chance that red grabs a divider, saves his second meeple, and actually has a chance to be in a winning mini battle of 5 points to 2, the chances of that happening are minuscule because there are only 2 dividers, but there are 11 tiles that I can use over here to connect red's 2-point city meeple to my 1-point ruin. The chances of red actually saving his second meeple are so slim that it is definitely not worth risking getting this square blocked. Red does get 2 of his meeples back as he finally gets a straight road. And now that he has meeples, we of course have to make sure that he is not able to take quick points so easily, which is why we start a new castle with this extender. Since red is very likely to lose 2 meeples over here for only 5 extra points, he will now have to try winning some mini battles elsewhere, which is why he adds 2 points to his own part of the city on the left, trying to win a mini battle against my 1-point meeple over here. Seeing that we are 8 points ahead on the scoreboard, we decide to just play it quite safe, finish our 8-point castle and be in good position, pre-building a 9-point field for ourselves upon finishing our small castle at the bottom. Red now trying to follow through with his plan of being in a winning mini battle by grabbing any sort of road tile over here, blocking my 1 point city to remain as a 1 point city, and then building a ruin for himself that might exceed these 5 points that it already is by a mile. Or an alternative strategy is to maybe grab a divider over here, then finish Red's own city with maybe 2 city cabs and finish a 16-point city versus a 4 point city. Or maybe even a third alternative option is to go with a city cap over here, connect to the city for the second time, grab this whole city for yourself, and then eventually be even in points or even ahead by a nice margin, assisted with a huge city. Since we cannot grab any quick points with this tile, nor can we connect ourselves to Red's part of the castle on the left, then the third strong option will be to unify Red's 2 point castle with my 1 point castle at the top and block Red's second meeple for good to this ruin. A strong move by Red adds a point to the monastery, grabs a 3 point road, and given that almost all road ends are still available in the deck, this is very likely to get completed. And thirdly, he prepares another monastery spot to end his previous monastery with, so all in all a dream scenario for this monastery here. Seeing that my opponent can indeed finish his monastery with a monastery, I don't really like that too much. So by taking 2 points over here, I ensure that only a road monastery can now go into this spot if my opponent wants to finish his previous monastery with a new one. And we also leave an empty city cap that only we can really take. Because if our opponent takes it, then it's going to create a platform for us to block this monastery totally. Sergio finishes his road quickly, and he did use a considerable amount of time here trying to decide whether or not he should be meepling the farm or not. And I think he made the correct decision, and he didn't. Because even though we have a threat of dropping a farmer immediately on a 9 point field as soon as we complete this 4 point castle, the farm is nowhere near secure. There's definitely going to be opportunities for it to drop a farmer later, and with 2 meeples versus 4 in hand is definitely a better situation to be than if it were to be 1 versus 4. Acknowledging the dangerous threat on the left of our meeple getting blocked, we are going to have to defend that, and with 4 meeples in hand, we will absolutely do this move with a farmer. However, seeing that there are still 3 filled triangles left to this square, Red is now able to make a powerful move. Going over here, going with another meeple and trying to overrun this castle and win it outright. Now usually in a situation where I am about to lose a castle and I have a divider in hand, I would be very enticed to place the divider over here, cut myself out, and at the same time make one more castle to my field. But that would leave my opponent with a rather easily completable 16-point castle, and also with the possibility of getting 2 of his meeples back. But we cannot really not use this divider into this castle somehow. Because say we use it over here, we take 4 points for the city and 3 points on the field. Then my opponent grabs 2 triangles, and then suddenly he will have a completed city worth anywhere between 18 to 22 points. So recognizing that there are still 3 field triangles remaining in the deck, I decided very reluctantly do a move that would give me a possibility to equalize this castle and also to enlarge my field in the future. And that move is to cut red off. I do not particularly like this move, but I think in the scenario that I wanted to make sure that the worst possible outcome does not come into fruition, that my opponent does not grab 2 triangles in a row and just destroy me with this castle. Red makes a wise move, builds a 9-point monastery spot next to his own monastery, and with only 1 meeple in his hand, that 9-point monastery spot benefits him far more than it benefits me. Because with only 1 meeple in hand, Red cannot place his final meeple anywhere without running the risk of losing value on tiles. Also, that 9-point monastery will now of course bring Red's meeple to the 6-point farm. With a monastery and 3 meeples in hand, we do want to try and benefit the whole 9 points for it, even though there is another road monastery spot on the right, and whilst it seemingly is good, controls the city cap and is 6 immediate points, it also adds a point to Red's monastery, giving him a meeple back. Whereas on the left, it does have an additional benefit as well. It will slightly extend the field, and it will eventually bring this castle to the field as well. And seeing that we have a long-term meeple advantage, we will be likely the one who is eventually going to win the field. Red grabs 2 points. And now we could finish our 4-point city at the bottom, but since there are still 2 regular curves that can get Red a meeple back over here, then we want to try and eliminate that possibility. So we grab the empty city cap and take 4 points. Now Red could have gone here with his city cap, trying to protect his monastery, but it would be a very uncomfortable move to make, because he would have to meeple this castle, just so that I would not be able to get easy 8 points on my next turn. But if he meeples the castle, then he will not be able to score 9 immediate points from the monastery here. So I think there wasn't any great moves for Red with this tile. What they are trying to do here is not only to make an alternative route to the farm, but also to make more spots for him to score points with 1 move, because he only has 1 meeple. But the second road to the field was not important, because whoever gets a field monastery is going to place it here, because there are still 3 of them remaining. So if Red gets it, then obviously he's going to place it here because he gets his farmer on to my farm. But if I get it, I'm still gonna have to put it here because it will prevent my opponent from taking the 9 points from this monastery in the future. As enticing as it would be for myself to take 2 points for the road over here and 1 point for the monastery with the crossroad that I have, I like to follow through with my plans. And my plan was to block this monastery. That is why we took this castle in the first place. And so that is exactly what we are going to do. Red creates a platform to start blocking my city and to be in a winning mini battle with his 7-point monastery. Also, he could now just add a field triangle over here, pre-complete his monastery, whilst I would be having slightly more difficult time trying to complete my castle. We take the 4 points that Red laid down for us. And Red is the one who manages to grab the monastery. Taking quick points is always nice, so we take those. 3 points for the road. Red pulls the first field triangle, and I was wholeheartedly waiting for him to put it over here. Because this would allow Red to then grab a triple city with a field or another field triangle and place it over here, releasing his own monastery, but not giving my city meeple back. Instead, he makes a completely random void move and just adds 2 points to a shared ruin. Just a waste of a tile. We add 1 point to our monastery. Red takes 4 easy points. And we finally complete our 4-point city. Although 3-2 meeple advantage is worse than 2-1, this castle was in danger of being expanded with a triple city by my opponent, releasing his monastery, and then be in equal meeples. And now that Red has 2 meeples, then he will be able to attack the field again. The good thing here is that if Red wants to come to the field, then at least he will be likely to add 1 point to our monastery. Having 3 meeples and being in a meeple advantage, that means that I totally have the resources to fight for the field. And seeing that there are still 2 starting tiles, 1 field crossroad, and 4 regular straight roads, that means that we have a ton of tiles to use over here to connect to the field. And even in a scenario where we don't connect, then we already have a 3-point field, which could be a 6-point field if we manage to get the final remaining field triangle. And we might be even able to make a 3rd castle over here. Red doesn't have too many options. He doesn't have the luxury of extra meeples, so he decides to try and block our connection. But I think his rotation with this tile is wrong. He could either direct the city cap upwards or to the left, but not to the right. Because when you know that all kinds of tiles that he can restrict us to are still left in the deck, one crossroad, 4 straight regular roads, and 2 starting tiles, then ideally you want to block your opponent with a tile that is the last of its kind. So if he goes with the vanilla city cap over here, let's say facing to the left, and then we draw garbage, and then our opponent grabs the final remaining filled crossroad, adds it here, then congratulations, you have completely blocked the connection. But now, all the tiles that he can use for blocking, there will still be tiles that fit there, so he will never be able to make a complete block with any tile. Well, we grab the tile we need immediately and connect, as I'm not a fan of getting blocked completely, so now there aren't any more filled crossroads remaining. Red is trying to make quick point spots for his one meeple. Meanwhile, we can restrict Red's access to the field to only one tile, because now any tile that fits here is going to release our monastery, but that any tile that fits here is only the final remaining filled triangle. Four points to Red's scoreboard. Now in this situation, we are currently minus 7 points for an extra meeple. We could block Red's access to the field if we go here, but winning the field might not be enough for us. Therefore, we are going to need to score more points, and the only possible spot to score more points with this tile is going to be at the top, taking the 4-point road. Red tries to prevent our block, and we do get the final remaining tile that we can use to block this connection. But we are still minus 3. We kinda have to win the field. If Red manages to equalize it, I doubt we will win the game. And there are other field connection opportunities on the map. If we block the connection now over here, then Red can grab a crossroad, go over here. He will then equalize the field, gaining 12 points. And then we would have to score 15 points with 12 tiles remaining. 15 because we would be happy with a draw, because Red started the game, and draw in this tournament would be considered a win for us. But 15 points is a lot. Therefore, we will not use a tile to block Red's connection. Instead, we will eliminate a field connection opportunity and attack the field with a third meeple from the bottom ourselves. This will also bring another castle to the field, and when we connect, we will be at +2. Red will try to eliminate that connection, but is unsuccessful. And now Red really has to think. because he is -2, and taking the final remaining field triangle will no longer give him points, because he will no longer be able to equalize the field by bringing his second farmer to it. They could go for a basically 50-50 by going over here, placing a farmer, then first connecting this meeple, and then connecting this meeple for 11 points. 11 points because this field is worth 15 points with 5 castles in it, but this farmer already scores 3 points, and getting this final farmer on the field would mean adding 1 point to my monastery. And he would have to get the final field triangle on his final turn or on his penultimate turn, so that he would be able to guarantee that I will not be able to score points with the meeple that he will then release. He decides to go for another plan that he has made and places the triangle over here. At the time, I did not actually realize what his plan was, but you will see that it is a genius plan. We will eliminate the field connection with the straight line that we just suggested that red might take. And now, after this move that red made, I realized the danger that I was in. Red goes over here, meeples the road, and is now +5, with the possibility of taking the final remaining crossroads, getting this meeple back, and scoring even more points. Now the thing is that I have to be the one to draw this field triangle and put this here myself, so that I can take away 3 points from this farmer, get 1 point for my monastery, and score more points with this extra meeple as well. Well, we don't get that, and now we somehow have to make a plan to get at least 5 points, at least assuming that this road would not grow anymore, which is highly unlikely because there are still a lot of road tiles remaining. So what I decided to go for is to try and get the crossroad myself and pre-build a road for that. Red pretty much just discards all the tiles that he cannot use now. But now I made a crucial mistake, because I figured that I'm -5 points. I have to assume that I get the crossroads, just so that my opponent does not get his meeple back and is not able to score more points with it afterwards. But if I get the crossroad as my final tile, it will not be enough unless I can score quick points before that. Well, how do we score quick points? We pre-built features. Because the remaining tiles are 2 monasteries, a field triangle, a crossroads, a city cap, a curve, and the city cap that I have in my hand. But wait, how can there be 7 tiles remaining? If I have 1 in my hand, my opponent has 1 in my hand, and there are 4 more tiles in the deck. Exactly. What I do not realize is that the city cap and the curve are the one and the same tile. And that is why the mistake I made is so devastating. I go over here. I create a spot to take quick points with both city cap and with a curve. But it doesn't matter because the curve and the city cap are the same tile. If I get the city cap, I can score 7 points on my field instead of 4 points over here. And if I get the points from the curve, it's only 4, but because the curve is the same tile as the city cap, I would be losing out on 3 points. Well, dremkad gets the crossroad. My plan doesn't work. But we don't have another option but to take quick points now. We can't score points anywhere else. We are -6 points overall. We need to take points. And we need to score on our final move as well. So we take the 4 points in the only spot we can. And our opponent grabs the filled triangle. Now, there is no way for me to win this game anymore. Or is there? Now at this point, I am -2 overall. The final remaining tile in the deck is a regular monastery. My opponent can chuck this tile anywhere and then score at least 5 points with the monastery that he gets as his final tile. We can score 6 points with a monastery over here, but we will still be at -1. But wait, there is indeed a chance for me to win this game. And it is not because what I do. The only chance I win this game is if my opponent does the only possible move that he can lose the game with. And that is exactly what he does. He goes over here for a -4 point move, bringing his second meeple on the field, releasing my monastery by adding 1 point to it, and taking 3 points away from himself. In an incredible way, we are now +2 in a situation that was not meant to happen in my wildest dreams. We are winning this game. And as our final tile, we are now able to take the best monastery spot, score 6 points, and our opponent has the same tile, scores 5 points, and the game ends. And in this miraculous way, we were able to get to the grand finals of the MindSports Olympiad Carcassonne Grand Prix 2024. An astonishing mistake by dremkad by making the only possible move that loses him the game. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Do let me know in the comments if you did, and I will see you again with some more Carcassonne content. Bye for now.